This is now session 5 of the intensive on October 7th, 2019, 12 Laws of Freedom. It's the Q&A session afterwards for those that are attending live on Zoom here.
So anyone got any feedback or any questions on the dialogue?
Jane, one of the things that the Father has talked to me the last couple of weeks about is exactly what I brought up a minute ago about you can't have it my will and your way. I'm not putting the time and effort into it when I'm not on this site with the groups. And the Father's asked me to come to him. He's told me that I will overcome my health issues that I have because he's stronger than Satan. Satan has nothing over me, but he wants me to come to him so that I can become a manifested son. I'm not doing what I need to be doing to grow. And I just want to say that in front of everybody on the group here so I can have some accountability. And I need to step up and do what I need to do.
That's awesome, Kath. Honor you for that.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, can I say this? Kenneth, whilst we're talking, I saw an angel come to stand by your side, and I saw him put his hand on your right shoulders. I don't know whether you have been engaging your angel, but I think this is your personal angel.
The Father told me my angel's name here a few months ago. It's called Philo.
Wow.
The Father's, I'm retired, but I had to go back to work because I can't, I need to make more money. I don't have enough retirement. So I've been doing ride sharing and Uber and Lyft, and the Father's brought me all kinds of people into my presence that I've been able to share what I've learned on this site. Just basically that the Father is with you, inside you. You don't have to go to church. You just need to reach out to the Father and ask him. And he's, I think he's trying to make me grow. As I talk to people, I'm growing, and hopefully I'm having some kind of effect on them. And it's been an interesting few months. I've grown a lot on the inside. I just need to step up and start growing more by, I got in this group because of the accountability. I told you that when I got in a year ago.
Yeah.
The other people you go to, there's no one to talk to. In this group, you're able to get some feedback and some teaching and some guidance. And if you don't take advantage of it, it's just a waste of time. So I need to step up.
You already are, Kenneth, and you're giving out. And when you give out, you always receive more.
Thank you, Bill.
Always works that way.
It's funny when I talk to people after I drop them off, I always feel good. You know what I'm saying? So that's the spirit inside of me telling me it's told me I'm giving life out. And when I do that, I increase my light.
Yes, you give away what's been revealed to you, and he'll reveal more to you. That's always worked that way for me.
This helped me tonight in a challenge I was having in term with my soul this week, and it just showed me. And the scripture that's standing out to me so strong tonight is what can separate me from the love of God, and it's just showing me that that the struggle that I was having, in transforming my mindset, that I can, that is what's the word I want to say? Is I can overcome it because there's nothing that can separate me from the love of God. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that's been a challenge to me is overcomable, if you will, and that's encouraging. I mean, it's just encouraging, and I feel like it's just giving me leverage to know in my heart that, like the 12 laws of freedom are saying, is, that I can be free. It's, and to step into that identity of truly being free and not settling for, like Jane was saying in the beginning, for just making excuses to not change. So that's what I got out of tonight with that.
I got that from you, Simone, tonight, but I also got it from Mam with her judging of thoughts on the Great White Throne. I've just started seeing the need to judge my thoughts, and also seeing that if we're able to judge our thoughts, we're also able to judge our feelings. Because I've come to the conclusion that we actually make most of our decisions based upon our feelings rather than our logical thought out thoughts. It's primarily, I think, by feelings. So
Yes.
I'm sensing that we can judge our feelings as much as we can judge our thoughts.
Yes, that's good.
Because
Yeah.
emotions can really run away with you,
It's true. Yeah, it's true. And have you sulking and not in position like you should be, because of aligning with basically an untruth, something that's not even true.
Yeah, and I think that fire is something that can purify emotions and thoughts.
Yes,
Mm.
yes.
I saw that at the end of this whole process, right, we throw Satan into the lake of fire, but just before that, fire comes down out of heaven and devours the kings of the earth. That he 1,000-year reign, right? He's bound, and then we purposely release him so that he goes and collects all the kings of the earth to come and surround us and attack us, which means we're in one place, we're in oneness. And fire comes down out of heaven and devours the kings of the earth. Just seeing this thing of fire devouring, and also seeing, this may be controversial, I'll just toss this out there with a question mark after it. Tossing the Satan in the lake of fire is so that he can be purified and brought back to original design. I'm asking that question. And thinking, our God is a consuming fire, right? Scripture says. Well, so are we. So guess who's doing the sending down fire from heaven to the kings of the earth? That's us.
Hallelujah.
It's the exact opposite of Job, where he has fire come down out of heaven at Satan. He doesn't even know what's going on. But in the end of the story, the end there, we're doing we are the fire that devours.
The
We are the
reason
consuming
Paul
fire.
said that we don't manifest as mature sons of God,
Yeah.
we
So
find someone else to do it.
So if we as a consuming fire can do all that, we certainly can handle thoughts and emotions.
So Bill, did you make any conclusion of where Satan is now? Is he in different places according to where we operate from?
Yes, my conclusion is he's wherever you'll let him be.
Yeah.
It's entirely based upon how much dominion and how much identity you have, and how much dominion you exercise. I didn't get to say this on the recording, but overcoming is so simple. It's as simple as this. You're overcoming when you're over it, and it's overcoming you when it's over you. It's so simple. If we're seated in heavenly places over it, we're able to overcome it.
The Spirit is telling me, guys, that your soul is what gets purified. And as your soul gets purified, your light gets brighter. Light conquers darkness. As your light gets brighter, you become more mature sons of God. Darkness will flee from you because they can't take the light and the truth.
Yes, yes, yes. The soul is the big thing. Soul's made up of mind, will, and emotions. Notice will, that's what you were keying on, Kenneth, on will. Mind, will, and emotions. Scripture says we have the mind of Christ. Therefore, I'm saying we also have the emotions of Christ, and we also have the will of Christ.
So these people are saying all there is God. And you can go behind the veil of evil. What do you see about that?
I really believe, I came to this conclusion. First off, today, I'm a little discouraged with the ecclesia, and I was hearing from the Lord that he said he was very pleased with the ecclesia, very pleased, which turned my whole attitude around. That was one thing. He's very, very pleased. Secondly, the folks that are seeing this, it's actually a major victory. What's going on is they're receiving, they're awakening to oneness. They see it. They receive oneness by faith. They're entering into oneness by faith. They haven't overcome, so they can't inherit and possess. But it's still a major, major victory, and Father's very pleased with it. But there is more than just seeing, receiving, and entering into oneness. There's that overcoming, and then we can inherit and possess it and manifest it. So there's that next step of going beyond simply being a receiver to being one that gives it out, that manifests it. The ones that are able to receive it, it's a wonderful thing. It's a major victory, major, major, major victory. But going beyond that to where we actually manifest oneness, we're able to bring other people into oneness. Our ecclesias come into oneness, and we actually participate as sons, as manifesting sons of God, in bringing all of creation back into oneness. We get to do the final mandate having to do with oneness. That is worth the price of overcoming to be able to be a part of that. But it's still a major victory when someone is even just seeing oneness.
See, what I think is happening is that we're getting so focused on the goodness, which is good, but what's translating is there's no such thing as evil, and evil is a mindset as well.
Yeah, I understand that. And here's the slap in the face. Okay, is death also a mindset? What are you going to do about it? You have a promise that you will not die. Are you going to be able to not die because you've seen oneness? Are you going to be able to not die because of this wonderful place you're in? The answer is no. That's not going to do anything for you. It's all got to do with thoughts and seeing. It's not got to do with having victory. And I think the real big slap in the face is to wake people up out of just being awakened to oneness. Is okay, that's really, really good, but what about death? I'm sorry, but I really see that someone that's in that place is simply going to die in that place.
Yeah, and I can almost see a ploy of the enemy is I'll make them feel I'm so insignificant and irrelevant, and they won't focus on me, and they won't know anything about where I am and what I'm doing, and then I'll just get on with doing what I'm doing.
It is a strategy
and through people as well.
Yeah.
You know, it's not necessarily that we're gonna have access to demons, but through people, they're going to be doing his agenda and taking authority over the earth. And we're living out of this victory, but not using our authority to deal with some of the agendas that are happening right now.
Yeah, that's not taking up dominion.
My spirit is saying, do not get caught in deception.
Yeah, it's always the balance, isn't it? You know, I find this, it's like everybody's wanting to go the other way because religion has totally distorted it the wrong way. But now we're going the other way, and yeah, and so like people say, there's no such thing as evil, whereas if you translate evil as wrong trading. See, I don't think a lot of people realize that. So they're thinking it's a horrible thing that God sees evil. But if you say, well, God sees wrong trading.
Evil is actually defined as two things. It's wrong trading plus death. It's those two things. That's what evil is. Wrong trading and death. And those are the things we need to overcome. This whole thing is, I saw today that what it is it's a stronghold. And the reason it's a stronghold is because it includes calling truth a lie and calling a lie a truth. It's so airtight that when you try, if something's not a stronghold, you can simply speak truth to somebody and they'll pop out of it. But if it is a stronghold, when you speak truth to them, it doesn't help bring them out of it because they hear the truth you speak as being a lie, and they don't listen. So there's this whole thing where truth a lie is being called truth. This whole thing that there is no wrong, there is no sin, there is no, and so on. That is a lie, and it's like armor. And so what I saw today was that scripture that says that the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God to the casting down of strongholds. It's so simple. We simply go to the weapons chancellor house and we ask for the weapon needed to penetrate this thing. It's going to be very, very simple when we're given the weapon to do so.
Yeah, I see evil. I see people not believing in evil. That's a stronghold. Of the enemy. I find that a lot of things are they're open in front of our eyes. It's a lot of things like that. And even, looking at the word evil, which coming up as a deception of, the opposite of evil is life. The opposite of evil is live. You spell it backwards, it's live. And I find with a lot of things, the tactics of the enemy, he operates like right in front of your face, but because of deception, people can't really see. A lot of things are open, but to the eyes of those who are blinded, it's closed. And this is really a stronghold, like a great form of deception. And it's a work of the enemy. To try to help people in this place where he doesn't exist, evil doesn't exist. And that way, he has a stronghold on a vast majority. And I believe that that's where like the sons of God come in to be able to make a difference, because we're the ones who hold the truth, and he's the one who holds a lot of the world captive and sway, and kidnapped into deception.
So I see the key. Sorry, Kenneth. I see the key is you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. But they are not knowing the truth as truth, so they are not receiving it to be free.
Yes, I had a thought on that this week because I was going over some things in my life, that happened a long, long time ago. And I was really thinking about this because a lot of people who do things that are contrary to the will of God, they just don't know any different. So are they really, really held accountable if they don't know the difference? Because the word will say that my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. So if they don't know the difference, are they really held accountable? Was the thing I was pondering.
If there was no evil, Gene, then why would the Father act the way he did? in the Garden of Eden with Adam and Eve. Obviously, there was something he was displeased with.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm saying
they say now there's no fall. See, there is no fall because you're always in that position of Eckhart where evil didn't exist.
Yeah, I see that as looking at the past, and the real bottom line here, I think, is all of this has to be brought down to the earth. Okay, you're in a cod, but a cod has to be brought to earth. It's not just something you're up there in heaven in eternity and so on. It has to be brought to earth to change earth. Otherwise, we will die on the earth.
Yeah, because I think our bodies are, we're ignorant of the fact our bodies really are a lot of the time in the kingdom of the earth, and that's why we're having decay, because our bodies are still operating, even if our spirit is in Eckhart.
Yeah, our body's here. It was made from the dust of the earth.
Yep.
And it has to be redeemed. That is why Jesus came to die. But so if there's no fall, why did he die before the foundations of the earth? He died because there will be a fall.
Yeah. It's because it's seeing it just as a spirit. I'm not sure they know the distinction between the body and the soul. So they're thinking everything, if once you say you become aware that your spirit is in Eckhart, that's how that covers everything. But I think it's way more sophisticated. And I think that point you made, Bill, about doing governmental act, I feel like we really need to do a governmental act over this new movement that's materializing, because my spirit has been so upset by dialoguing with these people, and I came to the conclusion this morning that it was not healthy for me to keep doing this.
Yeah,
it was really knocking me about, and I think what we need to be strategic and do the governmental acts, and then that might even change our ability to cope with dialoguing with them. But I wasn't coping at all well. They were absolutely knocking me left, right, and centre, and it was weird because I did really begin to see that there was something not right, because I normally am very reliable. If something's not quite right, it doesn't sit well with me, and so much of this is not sitting well with me.
Caught in deception, Gene, and the whole purpose of manifested sons of God is to bring heaven to earth. And that's some of the governmental acts that we're doing. So I agree with you.
Yeah.
And many people are being drawn to it. That's the sad part of it.
Yeah, it's very attractive, and I think that's what I see, and that's why we can't just sort of ignore it. And I wanted to understand where they were coming from. I honestly would say it is even more New Age than New Agers are. Because it seems to be this whole thing of, what was the latest thing? Something about consciousness. When you're conscious, because I don't understand this whole using the word consciousness either. I find that really triggers me, because it's just not in the Bible. It's a word that I think none of us really can get to grips with of what it means.
Yeah,
it's not a healthy word, because there's the subconscious, there's the front lobe conscious. There's more than one definition of what of consciousness is, and therefore using it as the way to operate. And then you get into, is it the mind, is it the brain, is it the soul? It just sends you around crazy.
But they think it's the spirit. They think consciousness is the spirit. The metaphysical, those who do metaphysical, they term the spirit as consciousness.
So they're just talking about the spirit when they're talking of consciousness then. Whereas we're always talking about the three-part being.
Well, if you look at the graph that Ian Clayton has, he has self-conscious. That's all in the soul part of your being.
Yeah.
That's what gets corrupted, the soul. The soul's what gets corrupted, and your life gets darker and darker, and Satan gets more control over you. The soul controls your mind, which is your subconscious, your unconscious, and your conscious, your emotions, choice, will, imagination, reason. So, to me, that's the soul that's getting corrupted, Jane.
Yeah, that's always made sense to me, that it's the soul is part, the mind is part of the soul. But we've even got people like Michelle saying, oh no, that the mind, what is it? It's in the brain, it's in the body.
Yeah, she's wrong. To me, everything you see, everything you hear, everything you say, all goes on a fanful book in your soul, and it goes there whether it's good or bad. You can accept to hear bad things, or you can move away from them. You can accept to say good things or bad things. You can accept to hear them. That's what increases or decreases your light. So because you need to hang with people that have more of a godly way than people that are doing drugs. You know what I'm saying? It's just your soul is affected by what you see, what you hear, and what you say. And definitely the mind and conscience and reason, emotions and choice and will is your soul.
I just had a bit of revelation on this. I think the confusion is coming is because if you think of the literal way in which you process things, it is in your brain, right? Your thoughts originally come from your brain. But I've just seen an added dimension that when you add will and choice, that comes from the soul. So it makes anything you think in your brain become a soul issue. And that's where the confusion is, that they're focusing purely on the fact it's a brain issue. And whereas the moment it becomes choice and a will, it becomes a soul issue.
And your spirit, your God conscience is basically your fear of God, intuition, revelation, worship, hope, faith, reverence, and prayer. That is the band of the God conscience, which is your spirit. I mean, all I'm doing is looking at the chart that Ian Clayton made, which it has all the other stuff on the soul.
Yeah.
It is a concern, but I also really believe that it's not as if we have to get everybody on board to be able to accomplish what we're meant to accomplish.
100%, Bill.
Yeah, I mean, we get on with our business, do our mandates.
That's not the agenda, though, I feel. It's not really necessarily getting them on board, because I don't think they've learnt the ability of the operating out of the one body. So I don't see an openness in a way that we're opening up to them and saying, could they possibly be right?
Well, one of the things we do, Jane, is do that governmental act which would release the Spirit of God to unscale their eyes.
Yeah. But the bigger agenda is not even. I mean, I was thinking about what's the biggest agenda. The agenda is still not to get everybody on board in the ecclesia, let alone the leaders. So the goal is more calling the 144,000, I feel, to their fullest destiny.
Yeah.
But if it's going to affect some of the possible 144,000, if they're going to go down that route, I think that's just where I feel that there has to be.
Okay, I see the difference. Yeah. You're not going to bring the crowd in, but we want to bring the specific ones, and they're destined for the 144,000. And the
Yeah.
key difference between the one group and the other group is overcoming.
Yes.
That's the door, you know.
Manifest.
You're not gonna move into manifest sonship without overcoming.
I was wondering if people were like having a concept of individual oneness. You know, to say, well, I'm one with this, I'm one individually, because I just I don't think oneness works individually. I think I see oneness as a nation. But when I say nation, I don't mean I don't mean like a earth nation. I mean like a cosmic nation. You know, everyone, one heart, one mind, one soul together. I feel they might start, you know, coming into to say, well, you know, I'm one with God. But I believe after that it goes further and there's no real individual oneness. We're one as a body. So I don't know if people are out there sort of saying, well, you know, I'm one, I stand alone, I stand individually. I just don't think one is individual anymore.
It could be that that's where they're coming from. They're so focused on their own journey of the oneness.
Yeah.
That they're only looking at their own position theoretically in that ideal oneness position before any corruption came of the earth.
Yeah.
And therefore that's what they're feeling is the full story.
Yeah. And it's all in eternity, it's not on the earth.
And that might be why they're saying, well, I don't really care what anyone else believes.
Yeah, I like the place I'm in.
I'm in.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things I can see that we could do for these groups, governmentally, is to is for them to reflect what they see God showing them, so that they're not just operating out of their minds. Because I'm concerned that a lot of this that they're deriving is maybe too intellectual. I mean, you know, it's just them manually contriving it. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's not a comfort-based.
Right. It needs to come from heaven. It needs to come from God. They need to be a reflection of God. And, you know, just because that's our function as, you know, sons of God. And so we can call them into their true function, to operate in their true function, which is to reflect what God is showing them, for them to see what God is showing them, and for them to reflect it and not get caught up in intellectual analyticals. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, emphasizing the journey, the spiritual journey of discovery.
Yeah, it's not that we don't think, but it can't be so head heavy that God is not in it.
Yeah, because what somebody asked, someone on the Facebook, where are you getting this revelation from? And the reply was the Dictionary of Spirituality and Myths.
Right. See?
I thought, wow.
Come on.
Yeah, so there's obviously some book out there.
The source is wrong.
An awful lot of these things are myths.
Don't get caught in deception. It's all keep coming.
Right. Because you can tell that the reason it's the fruit. The reason that is off is because it's not coming from God. So we have to call them back to the true source, and the only the right source, which is God.
And that's where a governmental act will be needed, you know?
Yes. And then we'll be I mean, you know, that's definitely grounds for the governmental actors, because we'll be calling them to what they're destined to be operating or functioning as.
What my spirit's telling me is that the Father is telling me that my sons will conform or I'll find somebody else.
The real difference here is that we've got this journey, righteousness, peace, and joy with the Spirit, way, truth, and life with the Son, then judgment, justice, and holiness, which is the government of God, which is his governmental actions, and then it's one body, one soul, one spirit. The oneness thing is actually cities number 9, 10, 10, 11, and 12 out of the 12. You really can't come into that without having gone the whole journey.
Yeah, because I think there's no concept of judge to life. Because if you mention the word judgment, they view it as exceptionally negatively.
Well, what's coming to me too is that it's huge. It's huge to call them to truly reflect what they're seeing God showed them, because otherwise they'll be operated as a Tower of Babel.
Ooh.
Something my spirit's saying, guys, is we can do a mandate, we can do a governmental action, but the Father's telling me not to worry about others and do what he's told us to do. If he's telling us to do a mandate, that's great.
And maybe that you should ask on Thursday if that's a mandate for the group. But I really think you're right there, Simone, about that tower.
Yeah. Let us make a name for ourselves. It's got really in there.
Because what I've noticed is a very weird spirit over these Facebook pages. It's just not right, you know? It's not gentle, kind. And it's starting to get a bit proud, you can see. And I think that the whole thing is that they're so trying to get out of religion, but in doing so, the spirit's not right.
Well, the thing there, Jane, is it actually is very, very religious.
And some Christians have that were seeking the truth have gotten caught up in it, is what I've seen. You know, out of a hunger to find something that, and see, it does have a bit of truth in it, but it's not the truth.
I think the major motivation actually is running away from religion. They're so against religion to the point where anything that's a work is wrong. That there is no anyway.
Yeah.
But I agree, Jane. There is going to be a governmental action, and maybe the New Heaven, New Earth lovers is the place to do it.
My spirits tell me to tell you, Jane, do not worry about everybody out there. You have a great, I'll make sure I get this right. You have a great, I'm not getting the word from the spirit here. You have a great, geez, it's not coming to me. You have a great journey, and that don't let people who are not on the right track take you off that journey that I have put you on. And everyone is not going to be perfect.
Oh, thank you. That's really good. Yeah, I think I've got to back away from them for a while, at least for a while.
It's almost like we're trying to fix an old mountain.
I think what the Lord was trying to say there is there may be mandates and acts that we can do to help them, but make sure we stay on our path to do what the Lord has sent us out to do.
Mm-hmm.
I was asking as well, why am I triggering and why do I find it so hard to cope? And I think it's because our case feels so much weaker. You know, their case feels so right. But when you understand the depth of encounter that we've had, and you understand the different verses and the different timelines, it then becomes obvious that it's much deeper than that.
The other thing too, Jane, is that the numbers are on their side. It seems to me that the influence is greater there as far as numbers are concerned. And of course, that's not what Father's interested in, numbers.
I think what concerns me though is how the innocent can get swept into a stream.
Yep.
That's what I feel. Yeah.
You know what?
Sad about.
The spirit will overtake the people that he wants to get them where he wants them to be. He knows all. He knows everything. Works out.
I think someone that's really seeking the Lord, they may spend a little bit of time there, but they're going to get to the place where they say, I want more. It's not here.
I'm finding truth in what Kenneth is saying. Well, he said that he's hearing from the Lord in that we have to make sure we're doing what we're being shown to do. And again, so that we won't fall into that Tower of Babel trap, you know what I'm saying? And so I think it just goes back to checking, just checking in and saying, okay, God, what is it that you're telling us to do? And just recalibrating and making sure we're doing what he's shown us to do.
Yeah, because if everybody's going upstream and it's individuals going downstream, then those who are being called out, or as what Ken was saying, they're going to notice. And so in time, they're going to stop and notice those who are going in the opposite direction. And then they're going to have curiosity as to why. And those will be the chosen and called out ones, to make a difference, who are going in one direction, but notice forerunners going in a different direction, and they will stop and take notice, and their direction will change.
That's good framing.
Yeah, that verse is coming to me. There's a way that seems right to man, but in the end it leads to death.
Yeah.
That it's one of those things that it just seems right because it's easy. There's no, everything in religion seems so hard and so horrible. But it's because it's the obvious that it's not the mystery. The mystery is always the opposite, the more complicated, the one that human nature says can't possibly be.
There really is a narrow gate, and there really is a way.
Because I even feel drawn back to do a lot more end time stuff now. I feel that there's so many agendas going on, and the trap of the spirituality is sometimes just to get into the whole dialogue of definitions, and then it's you're giving your life to a definition instead of actually governing as a king. over issues. So I'm very conscious of that now. I don't want to get too much into. We've done a lot of defining this and defining that. So we have to say, well, when's the line drawn around that? But I guess the question I've always had is, you know, what other government is over us if we're doing the end time stuff? You know, do we understand that enough such that we're not messing with fire?
It depends on the level of our dominion, Jane. And I keep coming back to that 1,000-year reign where the kings and the priests bind Satan for 1,000 years. When you bind him for 1,000 years, you're not going to get hurt by anything. I mean, short of physical violence. I don't see any spiritual. Doesn't matter whether it's aliens or what it is. I would. Well, I'm just talking, and as I talk here, binding Satan. I don't see there's anything else that you can't also bind, you know. And I'm seeing that in that passage, the kings of the earth don't come fully against us in united attempt to kill us until we release Satan from the pit after the 1,000 years and let him do that. Which means it doesn't happen before then.
And they don't win anyhow, because you can't come against the Son of Man. You can't come against Yeshua. I mean,
yeah.
I've always thought of all the years, like, what kind of a mindset is that? That can only be the mindset of the enemy, who's basically deranged. Because he knows very well that there's no fight, you know, and all these people who stand up to come against, they just simply disintegrate on the spot. I mean, what more are you expecting? Well, to me, that's my viewpoint.
That's very good.
Yeah, I think our dominion is really, really big.
So what we're doing is attributing issues in our life that are going wrong to Satan when really it's wrong trading. And we've developed a fear mindset that it's Satan doing this or demons doing this, when it's actually wrong trading and he never had any power.
Wrong trading gives him power. Legal ground is wrong trading. Wrong trading is legal ground.
But it's not the power, is it? It's the he still doesn't have power.
No, he has nothing. All he's got is lies, and if we don't buy the lie, he's got nothing.
It's I think it's the not knowing. If that makes any sense, it's not knowing.
Yeah,
You've
keyed on that. My people perish for lack of knowledge. If you know, then you won't perish. We have enough dominion that if we know it and use it, we will not perish. I don't see anything we have to be afraid of. The key thing, Jane, is cease dead to wrong trading, because he's only got legal grounds if we give legal grounds to him. If we're dead to wrong trading, he does not have any legal ground. There's no chink in the armor anywhere. That's the essential central importance of overcoming.
It's almost like, you know, because be perfect even as I am perfect. That's like coming out of wrong trading, so it's not impossible. He won't access to anything that's impossible. Be just as I am. He doesn't do wrong trading. Know what I mean? And so, like, us being in him, it's not impossible. It's just living in a different realm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Israelites, when they went into battle, they only had casualties of any kind if there was wrong trading. If there was no wrong trading, they never lost anybody.
So what if you say just wake up one day and you don't feel very hopeful? Was that wrong trading?
Yes.
So it's not just what we act on.
I think that's the time you step into what you know you have.
Yeah.
It is there for you, but probably you are not exercising it, you know?
Yeah, stir it up.
That's it. Because Jesus said that the devil comes, but he has no portion in me. He will come, and things will come to make you fall to it and then align to wrong trading and do it. But you have to know that it has no portion in you. Unless you give him a portion, a tiny inch, then he takes a yard or a foot. But if you don't, he has no right.
But we were saying before that thinking or being tempted isn't wrong trading.
That's absolutely correct.
So could you almost say that thing where you suddenly wake up and you start to think, oh, I'm not very hopeful about this or that, is a temptation more than a wrong trading?
Yeah, and it's a time to start reminding yourself of who you are.
Yes,
and
identity.
And who he is. You start focusing on all the truth, and you'll find your hope will just, your hope meter will just go up to 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
So the only becomes wrong trading when you think the thought and then you suddenly get all panicky and you think, right, I'm going to do something about it. So you go into the world and, take a loan out or do something because you feel all panicky. That's the wrong trading at that point, not when you're feeling unhopeful.
Yes.
I could honestly say I can't. Yeah, that makes sense because I can't see anyone never living out of days of not feeling unhopeful.
For real.
There's got to be
or feeling hopeless, feeling useless, feeling empty. They all come. But do you agree with it? That is the agreement.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, the wrong thing. You agree. You're right.
It's the agreement with it because it's like a covenant.
Your second new name is hope. There's going to have to be a crown or a throne that you need to do some discovery of and engage that, because you're going to find that you actually are one of the most hopeful people out there, or if not the most hopeful person out there, because it's your name.
Yes, that's what I'm saying is I have many days where I battle with hope. I battle with hope all the time, but I seem to bounce back.
Yeah, so Jane, you are stepping into your name. You are becoming hope.
Yep.
You see, if you already hope, then you know hopeless will not come. But it comes to challenge you. Like Jesus Christ said, who do men say I am? So he's asking you, do you say you are hope? Show me your hope.
Yes. Yes, maybe that is why I do battle it a lot. Yeah. Okay,
and I really believe that's a fathering thing too, because Abraham hoped against hope.
Yeah. I think there's something here because I noticed that I have to battle hopelessness a lot too. And it's true. You have to go back to your identity, who you really are. Like Bill was saying.
Yeah, that happened to me too, and I was in this little dialogue because like things have been really crazy, and I said, oh, for a minute there, I thought I was without hope. That was the actual words. And I remember, I remembered Yeshua and all of that. And I said, oh yeah, I'm okay. Because I had gone right back to the garden. I was meditating on everything that happened there and sort of put myself in that place. And suddenly was like, for a minute I thought it was about hope, Because we do get challenged with a lot of things, in life,
The same thing going on with me with my health, and Satan has attacked me with one thing after another, trying to instill hopelessness. And the Father keeps telling me, I am stronger than sickness. You will overcome if you choose to overcome.
Amen. We are the victors. We are the victors. But to become a victor, we have to prove it. I have been challenged too. I don't think anybody is free of challenges and temptations. It comes to all of us. But the thing is that when it comes, you have to remember, that's what I'm doing. Who am I? And who does the Father say I am? I am immortality. I am patience. I am challenged about being patient. My patience is challenged. It's been challenged for years. At a point in time, I said, I don't like my name because it makes it makes things hard for me. But I had to step up to accept that I can endure to the end. I am patience.
Oh, I love that. I love that. So that helps me a lot, because then there's no feeling defeated or guilty if you have a bad emotion. The thing you've just got to look on is what extent are you trading. And if you're trading something very physical, just trade out of it. Do the opposite of the physical thing you've done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's good. And, what I'm seeing is an image of our journey is like an obstacle course. And the obstacles in it are these things we have to overcome. And as we overcome them, they act as proof or acknowledgement that we have overcome. And they're directly related to our destiny scroll.
Yeah, I agree.
Every one of those obstacles is a place that you're going to end up manifesting massively.
Yes. It reminds me of what Dr. O said, what the seven spirits do. They not only help prepare us and train us, but they also test us, and they're the ones that okay us that we have overcome. They acknowledge, they act as witnesses that we've overcome. And so that just came to me. I just remembered that he had said in his book.
Cool. Yeah, there's an incredible diversity though, and understanding of all this stuff, from people in the old wineskin through to people transitioning. I saw that when I posted around, where is Lucifer? Responses were so diverse. It definitely needs to be, I think there's a role for our education, for us to educate people on this.
Yeah, but he's not omnipresent. So I'm sure he uses his little minions to do his work. It's not omnipresent.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's because we've been so reluctant to talk about Lucifer, because we're trying to convert everything and not focusing on him. I can feel this thing, don't talk about it. But I kind of felt like in the end, it just had to be out there to get clarity You know, where is he? And once you know, then gives you good reason to be secure in knowing. It's the unknowing, isn't it, that makes you fearful.
When he is cast down from heaven, that means that that whole hierarchy, principality, powers, rulers, dominions, that whole hierarchy in heavenly places, it all collapses and all of them are stuck on earth. That there's nothing over you, that you got an open heaven, and there's nothing between you and God. The whole crowd is restricted to earth at that point. We're the ones in heavenly places.
But what about people who've got extra, got ability to do stuff in the spirit?
Believers or non-believers?
Well, maybe both, but maybe not. Mainly non-believers.
Yeah, but it's a thin line, you know. I always say there's a thin line, because you remember when he says, "I don't know you," when it comes to the believers, it's a very thin line. So, you know, as far as deception and stuff like that, you know, as far as opening up the gates to, you know, things, just deception, thinking that you know, to walk in, you know, sort of, I guess, some timeline with the Father, but they're not. You know, that's why it's very, very important, you know, to know your identity and keep in contact with it, because it's very easy to walk that little thin line, and it comes down to what's in a person's heart and the motives that determines the line that they walk on.
But I was thinking mainly of, you know, if there are beings that live in a much higher intelligence dimension than us, who've figured out how to move things by the power of the mind and all that, can they have an influence over us?
I would see the answer to that being the same thing, as far as I think we can bind them to prevent them from having that influence.
Yeah, I don't think so. Because there is a scripture that says, if it were possible, even the elect would be deceived. And I know from personal experience that it's not possible. So I don't think that there's no power that's higher, you know, than the power of the Godhead, and that's the power that's in us. The same mind and everything. They don't have. No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I think I opened the door to fear there, because I started learning so much about it all, and what they could do and what they couldn't, and I never reached a conclusion, but I think I opened the door of fear.
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to say. It's only if we've given access, and that thing is not found in us, and it doesn't have any legal grounds to bother you or affect you. And we see that example in Jesus. You remember, they couldn't kill him because there was no sin in him.
Yeah, but it's so hard when, you know, when your life itself has such a high calling, you know, like that is so much you have to deal with because of the position that you're in, you know.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, I see it also. It's important to have the weapons, like Bill says, from the weaponry Chancellor's house. That will help us to deal with those mindsets and thoughts and feelings and everything as well. Being forerunners and stuff like that. as well. I've also seen this week my soul is in my mouth, where I'm actually I'm on a throne which is on fire in my mouth, and also I see in front of me that my soul is standing on a podium. Since I've been judging myself to life, my thoughts, and using the weapons of truth and everything. That's what I've been dealing with anyway.
I think it's also important to understand where we're operating, and to make sure that we have authority to operate where we think we're operating. Do you understand what I'm saying? And that we're not overstepping or overreaching the actual authority that we have.
Yeah, I'm sensing that too, Simone, the need for having done preparation before you jump in and do some discovery and find out exactly what you've got to work with, and know your mandates, know your authority, and know whether this is a place that you're meant to be or not right now.
Right, and exactly, yeah, I agree, Bill. And I think that's manifestation of too. That's part of that scripture. I think when Jesus said, "I only do what I see my Father doing, and my will is to do the will of the Father," meaning that he only did what the Father said to do. I mean, there was total agreement all the time, and in that, I think it was a big part of his safety and protection.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Doreen.
No. Yeah. Because when he spoke that, like to me, it was like he always lived in heavenly realms, so he was trained from little to do as he saw his father do, because he was always like on the earth but in heavenly realms. So he's been trained from a little boy all the way up. So it became like a standard and a pattern in his life. So basically, that's what he knew to do, trained from little.
Yeah, and while you were saying that, was coming to me as he was always in oneness. That's what that says to me. He was always in alignment with the Godhead, and that's why he couldn't be affected. Again, because there was nothing in him that the enemy could attack. Yeah.
So that brings a question I wanted to ask Bill. Why, if he was always in oneness, why did he need to be coronated after his resurrection as a king?
I think that being in oneness and maturing is two separate things. Even he was maturing as a son of God.
That's profound, Bill. That's the answer to this other group. Oneness and maturing are two different things, and they're associating it as full maturity.
Yeah. What my spirit's telling me, Jane, is it was honor.
But isn't there also the journey he had to do of overcoming the body? And that's what he was trying to show us. We have to overcome the body, even though our spirits are always in oneness all the time.
Restoration, well, I don't think he had any issue with his soul or body.
Right. But I was also thinking, I don't know, about the coronation or things like that, unless I have it wrong, but remember that his kingdom was not of this world, so that his coronation was not going to be here. So, what I'm trying to say, that he lived out this pattern on the earth, but it was after he resurrected that he became the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. So, you know, he basically had to do all these things on earth first before receiving that coronation. Yeah, I don't know if that's irrelevant, but that's what came to mind when the question came. He always said that my kingdom is not here. So yeah, the actual crowning came in the heavenly realms.
Yeah, it was, you're
which is again a
very interesting verse.
Yeah, which is again a display that he had the rightful and necessary authority.
Coronated in heaven first, and I'm marking with you. I am the passage in Revelation where it says the kingdoms of this world have become the kingdom of our Lord and of his Christ. There's a point at which the kingdom of the earth becomes his kingdom. And there's a passage in Revelation where, I see that there's this time when the kingdoms of the earth become the kingdoms. We become the kings of the kings. We become the kings of the earth at a certain point. All these kings that come against us after Satan's unbound, they're destroyed at that point, and we take over the kingdoms of the earth at that point.
But just a question, Chris. But it seems like we take over those kingdoms the same way how Christ was from the heavenly realms. I don't know. That's just how it seems, because you know, that's where he is right now. His King of Kings and Lord of Lords, and so his King of all. And so I'm thinking that we becoming that same. That's why I always think sometimes, like, will there be a continuation?
There's a point at which the kingdom of God on the earth is going to actually be established. There is that point.
Yeah. So then we will reign where? From heavenly realms as Christ was, from the new eternity.
It's always dual realms. Always dual realms. But in the end, we actually do have full authority on the earth.
Right. But will that authority be from heaven?
Oh yeah, you don't have it in the earth, you don't have it in heaven.
Or from earth?
Well, it's always on earth as it is in heaven. So it's always first in heaven.
Right.
Nations are always first in heaven.
Right. So then we come down as Christ comes down now, as he chooses. You know, he can just come in and come down on earth, even as he did from Eden. So if our abode is the heavenly realms, but yet we can travel to any dimension in any place at will. I'm thinking.
What I see is that the New Jerusalem descends upon the earth. And just to take this a little further, Jane, there was a couple of days ago where we became the tree of life planted in new earth. And I'm asking the question, is creating new realms and new earth, one of the major ways of doing that, I think, is planting things into new earth. It's like our garden, our own personal garden, only new earth is the garden. And we plant these things into new earth, and that's the establishment of new realms. I really see this planting of things into new earth causing the manifestation of these things in the earth.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Based upon that example of becoming the tree of life and planted in new earth. All these other things like overcoming and everything else, I see like it's almost like a way of legislating.
I've got another question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So we're saying, right, we need to govern over other government, whether it's cabal, whether it's
this or that. Why do we govern over it if I know for the ecclesia who's vulnerable, but if we're included in that, why are we doing it for ourselves if they have no authority over us, if we're not trading wrongly? Are we merely acting as a priest on behalf of the ecclesia and really not doing it for ourselves?
I think part of the answer has to do with restoration of all things. It's not enough to just not be vulnerable to them. There really is a total cleanup. That's the wrong way to say it, but there's a total restoration of everything. The earth is going to be totally restored. It's all going to become new earth. And at some point, we're going to have to clean house. It's not just a defensive thing where we're protected and safe. This restoration of all creation is our last mandate. It's not just a defensive thing, it's also an offensive thing.
Offensive thing. So we're creating, not just getting rid
not
of
just
rubbish.
surviving, but totally restoring it all back to original.
Ooh. Hey, that's really good. If we think of everything we're doing as creating, not just dealing with the rubbish, that's a whole new perspective. See, I just don't like the word. It just trigger every time I hear it.
Okay.
All I think restore is it's something. It's taking something back, and it's not creating.
Well, it is creating.
I prefer the term creation of all things.
Okay, think of the first creation, and then think of chapter 2. The word there for creation in chapter 2 is bara, the Hebrew word, and it means make. So it's not like creating out of nothing. It's taking what's left there and like clay and using it to make a pot. And at the end, in Revelation 21, God says, "Behold, I make all things new," which is like taking the clay and reforming it to, it's a making in the sense of not like making out of nothing. It's taking what's there and making it into what it's meant to be. See the difference?
I think we need a new word though, because we've all understand it in a different sense.
Okay, but you understand the difference. It's remaking.
I was thinking reestablishing.
Yeah, well,
I don't like the word re at all, because to me it's nothing re about it. It's
well, it is. It's bringing it back to original design.
No, it isn't, because the whole thing is so different from original design. Because the original design before we were created, it will never be the same now we're created and we've had an impact. And therefore, we're not going back to original design. We're going forward to what it can look like with the kings as fully mature. And that could be anything that God's not even done.
I see your point, yeah.
And it's so, I feel like if we keep saying we'll go back to original design, this is where people get this idea of this oneness concept distorted, because that's what they see it. And that's why I feel we need a new translation, even if it's the word used in the Bible. We need a modern day to communicate. I mean, why can't we call it creating a new earth?
That's good. I'm asking now this question. Restoration of all things is a kingly function, and the Son of God's take it beyond that to new creation. It's actually another Genesis is what it is.
Yeah,
New
yeah,
beginnings.
I was thinking, like, when I said it's gotta be a continuation.
yeah, it's a boundless possibility or an infinite possibility of possibles of what new earth can look like that may not have ever happened in old heaven.
It sounds like, sorry.
Go on.
It sounds like recycling. Like you take what is there and make something entirely new from it.
Mm-hmm. That's what we saw on doorways was like disassembling pallets. You take it apart and have new usable pieces. And we pointed it to metamorphosis, because in metamorphosis, the caterpillar basically becomes liquid and then becomes a whole new creature.
Like a transformation.
Transformation, yeah.
Yeah, see, I even like the word transforming all things. I wouldn't trigger on that. I just can't do this re-thing in my spirit. I never have. That word has always driven me crazy.
I think restoration of all things is only partway there.
Mm.
And there's much more beyond that, and that's that transformation.
Yeah, and until people understand they can create their own realms in New Earth, they will keep thinking, it will mislead them to think they just go back to eternity and be who they were meant to be in eternity. And it's the wrong emphasis.
It's an ever-growing process.
Because it's lacking the emphasis on creation.
Yes, yeah. And what we've just seen now is that everything we're doing is not just fixing the broken, it's creating something new. Whereas we've got no case. Because all they do is people accuse us, you're just fixing the broken. So I'm like, no, we're not doing that, but that's what they see. So that's the latest accusation. You're just fixing the broken.
Mm-hmm. Transforming. I always saw creation as fun with the God here, because they don't have to touch anything. They could just think it. You know what I mean? I always saw it as fun. So if you see like Earl Mountain or mountain like in the earth realm, and to transform it, they could just transform it by thought. You know what I mean? They go to the next one and say, okay, well, that was pretty awesome. I'm going to do this way. And I just always saw it as fun.
Well, it is. It is, because it actually doesn't, it only requires thought. And that's what's so wonderful.
Mm.
So how do you feel, Bill, about using a different phrase? Because I know you do like the translations.
I've got to change my thinking too.
Yeah, because words are so powerful. And you so slightly use the wrong word that's not good for this generation. Before you know it, that generation has made it that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know. I just have this thought. Remember, it's like we go further and further and further. So if we've come to the stage of restoration, I mean, like Father, he never stays in the same place, and when he feels that we're ready to be able to contain, or we have the capacity to contain new knowledge, then he will begin to have us to start pondering on these things until we get the fullness of the understanding. It's new knowledge. He never remains the same. So if the whole world all this time and everybody is like restoration of all things, that's great. Now let's take it further. That's the way I've always seen it.
I agree with that. I don't think it's that restoration of all things is wrong. I think that it's just not the whole picture.
But what's interesting is I got that full picture years and years ago, almost pretty quickly, easily. That's why I've been living with this for years now. And so I don't think it has to be a kind of, well, God will, show it to us when we're ready. I think we can be ready if we really want the full picture. And that's the issue with, because I'm getting this more and more that we're feeling the pressure to father people in the things that we were shown, because when we bought into them, we didn't know anything else. But I feel more and more now we have to father them at an earlier starting point, at which point, within like a year, they could easily grasp the fact that they have to create a new earth. But if they have to go back to, learning the mobile court and all that for a year and a half, believing that they have to deal with all their own junk before they can move on to the next stage, they're going to have no mental capacity to consider creating. They're going to shut it off because we've downloaded all this stuff to them. They've got to wade through. So I kind of really feel so strongly the next session when we do New Jerusalem, we've got to start by saying, I really believe New Jerusalem always was the blueprint, and the courts are a lower version of that. How do you feel about that?
Do you think it still like comes in alignment with the scripture leaving the beginning things and moving on to other things? That could be a scripture that just keeps going on and on. I don't know the exact scripture, but it's got something to do with the fivefold ministry, right? Saying that these are the beginning stages, and we move on from that now. So what I'm saying, it's a continuation. So restoration of all things, the beginning stages leads us to restoration of all things. Then restoration of all things becomes the beginning stages where he says, so you move away from these things and start moving on into other things. To me, it's just like a continuation until we come into the fullness. That's how I see it, just being open to.
So in terms of the practicalities of what I've just said, where would you be positioned?
Okay, so what I'm saying, if anybody can remember that scripture from leaving the elementary things and going forward, right?
Yeah.
Right. So now, if we see restoration of all things, we've gone so far on the path that we see restoration of all things again as an elementary thing. And now we're moving forward into this new work that we've come into. And then you don't know, 2, 3, 4 years on the work, you see where we are now as an elementary thing, and let's move into a next thing until we come into fullness.
So would you say recommend courts the newbies?
No. I agree with you, Jane.
It was scaring me because it was like the courts could become an elementary thing, because
they
are,
aren't they?
Huh?
That's what we're currently saying. They're an elementary thing. Start there.
Right, but somewhere down the road, somewhere, like the scripture says, no longer looking at these elementary things, but let's move forward now into the next thing. That's what that scripture says.
Yeah, I'm with you. So we say, like the 6 elementary principles in Hebrews, we say these are the elementary principles. Just quickly grasp them in your spirit, but move to this.
Well, I don't know quite that fast, because it includes eternal judgments, the 6th of the 6th, and that's judging the life. So, and that's government of God. So, I think we really need to show them New Jerusalem from the very beginning, so that they are seeing that a new beginning is what we're aiming for from the very beginning. And all the rest of the stuff is just preparation for a new beginning.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
New Jerusalem coming down from heaven is what we're shooting for. Everything before that is just preparation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So are we on an agreement about doing New Jerusalem next time?
Yeah, let's get it out there and let's get them there.
Yeah, yeah. And then we've got one that's undefined, haven't we, after that?
We could do oneness for the last one.
Oh, yeah, oneness. Yeah. Yeah, and let's do let's call it something like the 4 levels of oneness or something like that. Just use the term oneness. It's so misleading.
Yeah, that would be good to show people that it's not just a matter of your individual oneness with the Godhead.
Yeah.
I just wrote that page about the oneness mandate, and there's 5 mandates to the oneness mandate.
Yeah. Oh, great. Is everyone complete then?
For now.
Yeah, I've got 1,000,001 questions that I'll give you them later. Thanks, everyone. And, yeah, it's a really good session.
Turn the recording off.
Mm-hmm.